Dr. A.C. Joshi, Director ISTD. With me, I am joined by our National President, Mr. Nataraj Ray, and Gurvinder Singh is our IT expert who is in the background enabling us to conduct this program. As you all know that Professor V Rao is the guest today. To all HR fraternity, Mr. Rao needs no introduction. A doyen and a legion of human resource management in this country, he laid down the foundation of HR function along with Dr. Uday Parikh way back in 1974. We indeed are delighted and privileged to welcome him today to this webinar. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Rao is the founder president of the National HRD Network and the Indian Society for Applied Behavioral Sciences, ISABS. He has worked as a professor at the Premier Management Institute of India, that is IIM Ahmedabad, from 1973 to 1994. After leaving IIM Ahmedabad, he started working for the Academy of Human Resource Development. He has also contributed majorly in the field of competency mapping and defines competency mapping as the process of identification of the competencies required to perform successfully at a given point of time. His main contributions are in the field of performance management, competency mapping, 360-degree feedback, and HR audit. I would like to name some of the books which are pioneering. Human Resource Development was published way back in 1996, HRD Audit in 1999, Performance Management and Appraisal System 2004, HRD Scorecard 2008, The Power of 360-degree Feedback in 2014. This is to list a few. The list is very long. I do not want to deprive you of his valuable time today, which he has agreed to share with us. I'll straightway come to the program, and I'll just like to tell you how the program will move on. We will just start with Mr. Nataraj Ray with his inaugural comments, and then Mr. Rao will give his introductory comments and remarks, and thereafter we will start with our questions and answers. You will find that there is a Q&A box in the bottom of the screen. I'll request the participants, whichever queries they have, to please put up your queries, though I know the time will not be very long and we will try to do justice with you all. But even then, I hope we answer most of the queries. At the outset now, I will request our National President Nataraj Ray for his inaugural address.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Joshi, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and my dear ISTD friends, past president, chairman of the chapter, secretary, and others. Welcome to all in the 6th webinar session being conducted by ISTD National Office. In this turbulent and uncertain time, we the ISTDian felt that we should do a bit help for our members, arranged 2 webinar session to the entire ISTD fraternity, HR fraternity, and management fraternity. We therefore decided to provide a platform to the eminent business leader, visionary leader, thought leader to share their vision and experience during this difficult time. With this, we have already covered the 5th distinguished speaker spoken to this webinar session from last more than 1 month. Today, we have invited the very distinguished thought leader and very most eminent management philosopher of India, Professor V Rao, who is kind enough to agree to share his thought and vision regarding the post-COVID-19. I know Professor Rao many years. I worked him many years also. And he always support ISTD and HR fraternity is also enormous. Myself and Professor Rao are working together now to make ISTD is a chartered institution. Recently, I have met Dr. Professor Rao in Ahmedabad, and then our work has already been progressed. Sir, I secured wholehearted support to make the ISTD a chartered institute. Sir, I seek your support to do the work together and make a ISTD as a chartered institution, which your dream and also my dream. Thank you, sir. I personally look forward to this session. I think this session is a great session, a learning session for all of us. I do not want to spend more time, but before concluding my talk, I'll tell as a head of ISTD, as a head of institution, two vertical which very important. One is ISTD is celebrating 50 golden jubilee years, and for remarkable this golden year, we have given the 50% discount for new life membership, which is valid up to 30th June. The members who are not yet a member, I would request them to be a member, because a great learning organization, a wonderful organization in India for the training and development and for the human cause. Another vertical I used to tell, the diploma. ISTD diploma is one of the largest diploma alumni in the country. As on date, there is more than 35 alumni across the country. The 83 batch of the diploma is commencing from 1st August 2020. Who are interested to admission the diploma program, I would request them to online admission is going on. Please, admission has started. Please admitted you. And ISTD is work for day-to-day basis for the admissions and others. Now, I would request Dr. A.C. Joshi to formally welcome Dr. Professor Rao and anchor the session. Thank you, all my past presidents and others. Thank you once again, and everyone for this session. And this is a wonderful session. Professor Rao will share COVID-19, and his sharing is always as our great learning. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, President, for your introductory remarks. Indeed, we are delighted to have Professor Rao with us today. Sir, we are meeting at a juncture today when there is a silver lining. A ray of hope is there, as the number of green zone districts in the country has come down to 319. Districts in the orange zone are now 284, and the number of hotspot districts in the country has come down to 130. The rate of increase of infection has also come down from 100 plus to about 40% now. We definitely are looking forward to a normalizing situation in the country. The last 40 days have been tough to all of us, and which has given a lot of thought regarding HR, because HR is one function. Each and every industry, be it government, be it agriculture, whatever it is manned by human resource. Human resource is everywhere. It is in the fulcrum. But when we talk about HR, the role of HR, somehow we constrain ourselves. We limit ourselves by discussing only about HR function. Without taking much time, sir, I will request you with your introductory session, so that from that will evolve the question and answers, and gradually this session will build on. We do not want to start with any structured session, sir. Welcome, sir. Welcome again. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Joshi, and thank you very much, Dr. Nataraj Ray, and all the ISTD members who are responsible for getting me to spend this evening in the webinar. When Dr. Nataraj Ray contacted me and said, why don't you address a webinar, I readily agreed. But when I thought of what is it that I would like to talk about, I found that there is so much going on in the country on post-COVID roles and responsibilities of a variety of people, and particularly the HR profession. I myself talked in some of the seminars, and you have been doing it. National HRD Network has been doing it, and there are a lot of WhatsApp groups, including L&D Roundtable, MTHR Global Forum, and so many, I think, have been working on this. And every day there is one webinar or the other on the post-COVID responsibility of all people, and particularly the HR people and so on. So I thought that I think it is appropriate at this point of time to really look at what is it that the professional bodies in HR can do at this point of time. In fact, I thought that there is a lot that they can all do. And the source of my inspiration comes from my own work with the medical profession. When I started my career in the year 1969, I was working with health professionals, and my PhD happens to be on the medical profession. And I read a lot of books on the sociology of professions. When do you call somebody a profession? What are the qualifications that are required, and things like that. Then my association go back to in 1970. The first meeting of the starting of the ISTD in Delhi was held at the Ford Foundation building. And Sharu Ranganekar, N.S. Ramaswamy, and a whole lot of others came from Bombay. They had the first meeting in Bombay. This is 1969 and 70. They came to Delhi. Dr. Parikh took me along, and we had a big discussion about, in fact, we had a full day, and they introduced how management games are new things in the training and development field. And we all learned. That was my first exposure to management games through the formation of the ISTD chapter and so on. Later, I became a life member of ISTD, and I was never an office bearer, but I was all the time there, either writing articles for ISTD journal and so on. And I must tell you one more secret, and the secret is that the way we shaped NHRD, National HRD Network, I also drew some inspiration from ISTD. And the secret is, when I attended one of the conferences of ISTD in Bombay and received a lot of psychostyle material, some of which was not readable, I said, when we do any professional body, we want to make sure a printed book will be distributed in the professional body and so on. Since 1987, if you see National HRD Network, we made it a point to distribute. It's not only ISTD, I think we made the same mistake in IIM Ahmedabad when my colleague in IIM held a international conference on social development. We ended up spending a huge sum of money getting material cyclostyle. This I'm talking about the year 1985, 86. So, you know, you are constantly learning from everybody, from good things of a body, how to organize a conference, positive things, and sometimes how to improve, how to set new standards and things like that. So the qualification I have is certainly, I think, my work on the working with professions. And I thought that this particular phase that we are going through in our country due to coronavirus, when I started looking at the way the medical profession has come alive, you know, many of you have seen Dr. Trehan coming and talking about, now what Dr. Trehan is a heart specialist. He's quite a known heart specialist. If you look at many doctors, there is no distinction whether you are a heart specialist or you are a public health specialist, or you are a virologist, or you are a neurologist, you are a kidney specialist. They are all specializations in medical field. Everyone, I think, putting aside their specialized area and looking at how to beat this demon called coronavirus. And they are all giving very simple kind of things. And not only the doctors, you look at the nursing profession, look at the ANMs, look at the health workers who are all the time testing and so on. So this profession, which we call as health professionals, have come alive without distinction. Whether you are an ophthalmologist or you are a ENT specialist or whatever specialization you have put aside and you started focusing on human welfare. And you find the amount of respect, I think, by and large, the medical professionals are drawing. And not only medical professionals, all those who are involved. If Prime Minister of our country said on a particular day at 9 o'clock, light the lamps, or at 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock, you start clapping to acknowledge the contributions of all these people. I think when I hear it, I was only wishing, can such accolades be available also for the HR profession? Now, some of us may think, why HR profession? Now, medical profession, health professionals are concerned about health of people. Businessmen are concerned about the poverty, living, economics of people. It is the HR person who is concerned about both, because we are focused on individuals, we are focused on collectives. So there is no human development unless you focus on the health of the human beings, and also you focus on the quality of living of the human beings. There can't be a better indication of this than the Human Development Report of UNDP. Now look at the Human Development Report, which was started sometime in the year 1990. They didn't call it Human Resources Development Report. They called it Human Development Report. And they said, if people can live longer, that country in which people live longer has better human development, or HRD if you want to call it. In that country where people have a skill base, straight into the lab of training and development, who have a skill base, or which is measured by mean years of schooling, literacy, access to all other documents and things like that, I think that particular country is has well-developed human resource. And the third thing they said, if people have good quality of life, which is measured by per capita income, equated at the same value across the world. So you see, human development therefore is measured by health indicators, skill indicators, and economic indicators. Now in corporate sector, or in NGO sector or GO sector, when you talk of human resources development, or you talk of training and development, or you talk of personnel management, you give any name you like. We nowadays call them people management professionals, rather than calling anyone. I mean, it is like the medical profession. We are people management professionals. I mean, that is the way I think we are concerned with people are human. We of course say HR managers and different kind of thing. Even ISTD changed it. Quite a few of their conferences were focused on HRD and things like that. So if you look at this profession, it is a great profession. If you look at simply the title, it's a complex profession. It's a complex profession. On one hand, it is a profession which is required to deliver a termination letter. On the other hand, it is also a profession that is required to create jobs and create happiness at work, help work with the top management to look at all kinds of plans to expand in other countries, look at business opportunities. It's a wonderful profession. There is no other profession that deals with all the variables that affect human welfare. That is health, poverty, economic, and happiness at work, and a whole lot of things. If that is so, what is it that we are doing as professionals? I wouldn't want to comment much on the health. I titled it as the role of HR or people management professionals and professional bodies. I would like to focus more on the professional bodies, not so much on the professionals, because most of the webinars have talked about what is it that the professionals should do. I have only one point to make on the role of people management professionals, whether it is training and development or recruitment professional, you are a coach or a behavioral scientist or whatever you call it. And if the moment you are dealing with, I mean, quite like I think the medical profession, there are so many specializations. In people management also, there are many specializations. You have a legal aspect, you have industrial relations aspect, you have worker labor welfare aspect, you have training and development aspect, you have succession planning, leadership development. All these are specialists. All of them belong to one profession, and each one has some role to play. And when COVID-19 happens, my only wish is that just as the medical profession or health professionals are getting the respect, can HR professionals also get a very similar kind of a respect from all people? Now, how do you get a respect? How do you get the respect as an HR professional? I'm sure many of you have seen almost about now 15 years ago, there was an interesting article, Why We Hate HR. This article became famous. It was circulated all around. It appeared in I think, in the West, but I think it is equally well read and circulated. And if you go through that, they have given a beautiful analysis of what is the reason why people hate HR. I don't want to say everyone hates HR, but I like to see more people appreciating HR rather than hating HR. Now we are facing a situation where the haters of HR may, this is my fear, may become larger in number than appreciators of HR. Now it depends on our conduct. It depends on the way, because the problem is same. It is not a man-made problem. I would say it's a problem which is beyond businessmen, beyond politicians, beyond prime ministers, beyond migratory labor, beyond every human being. It's not created by us. It is created by somebody. Maybe we say it is created by nature, because we are not respecting the nature. This is the way I think nature tells you that, remember that you have taken nature for granted and you should respect the nature and things like that, whatever it is. The problem is created. If the problem is there, what is the way we people, management professionals, can get more accolades? People can say, oh, this HR person made a difference in my life. Even if you have to serve a termination letter, can you serve it in a way that the person says, my God, I mean, this gentleman came to me, he explained to me, he discussed with me, he solaced me, he pointed out a whole lot of other kind of things, and he's constantly in touch with me. It looks that my HR person is more worried about me and my livelihood than I am worried about. Is it possible to establish that kind of a thing? He's more concerned about my skill development, more concerned about how I can, even if I have lost the job here. Or a person who is losing his job can say, no, this is how the HR has communicated to me. They discussed with the top management. They told me all these kind of things. I appreciate this and so on. In other words, I think as at an individual level, we should place ourselves at a level where we can make a difference in whatever, even if people have to suffer, can we, I think, reduce the suffering a little bit? And can we work with those people who may not have to suffer that much, and then become sources of spreading maybe some of the good news rather than only giving the bad news and so on. This is as far as the professionals are concerned. There are many suggestions that have come up in various forums, not going into details. I'll only stop in terms of the role of professionals here. But I'll go on to the more important point, and that is the role of the professional bodies. I think there has been a lot of debate in the last 5 to 10 years whether HR is a profession or not. Normally, there are a few things which will make anything a profession. I mean, this is true in medical profession, there is true in legal profession, true with chartered accountants and so on. And one of the things is a body of knowledge. A body of knowledge, number one. And number two is the standards of performance, the skill base. Along with the knowledge, there are standards that are set, and the knowledge has to be exhibited by skilled work. I think that is another thing. Third thing is certification, legitimization of this. There are bodies which will allow you, which will certify you. For example, in medicine, there is the Medical Council of India. In nursing, there is a Nursing Council of India. For chartered accountants, there is a Chartered Accountants, the Institute of Chartered Accountants. For legal profession, there is Bar Council. So there are all councils which can, where necessary, they can set standards, they can talk of ethics, they can talk of values, a whole lot of things. Unfortunately, in HR, which is a very critical profession, as a complex profession, important profession, the only profession that can take care of multiple variables at a point of time, we have a body of knowledge. If there is no body of knowledge, XLRITs, IIMs and other places won't be teaching. I think they offer masters in HR, masters in organization development, postgraduate diplomas and things like that. So there is a body of knowledge, and this is not new. It has been there, it is evolving. There are a lot of, I think it is nice of you, Dr. Joshi. You mentioned about so many books that I have written. Not only me, I think there are books across the world. So there is a body of knowledge. There is also a skill base. If you look at industrial relations, they are all, I think, a good part is drawn from the legal profession. A number of seminars that have been given in the last 15, 20 days dealt with legal status, whether you should pay employees full salaries during the month of March and April or not? What is the legal position? What do the courts have to say? I think quite a bit of the IR people with a legal kind of a mind, and what is the way to take care of the migratory labor? Where have we gone wrong that a large number of people are available and will give with companies and things like that? I think if you look at all of it, and there are things that quite a bit of skill base that is available. But what probably we have not put our heads together is the values, attitudes, and culture. I can only think of National HRD Network, who I think almost about 20 years ago, when Arvind Agarwal was the president of the National HRD Network, I brought to him a 20-page list of code of conduct for HRD professionals brought out by the Academy of HRD USA. And Arvind said that this is too much of a list, let us work on it. And he initiated a task force. I think later Marcel Parker and a few other people worked on it and developed a code of conduct. And it was very interesting. Every time a meeting is held by National HRD Network, they recite the code of conduct. But of course, I sometimes question them. Code of conduct of a profession is not in reciting the code of conduct. It is in following the code of conduct. We probably need to go a long way in terms of this and so on. So I think forget about the code of conduct. Values, I think, which are very important. What are the kind of values the HR as a profession at this point of time? I mean, there are some things which are very clear. Last 2 months on coronavirus and COVID-19 has demonstrated that all people are equal. And we have only created lost a lot of distinctions among us. We have created distinctions by caste, community, religion. We have created distinctions by the kind of educational background you come from, whether you are a master's or a PhD, etc. Also created distinctions which region, which language you talk, and created distinctions whether you belong to migratory labor or a daily wage laborer or a regular employee, or you a labor class, white collar worker, big blue collar worker, are you a part of the top management, are you a member of the board? I mean, these are all distinctions. But last 2 months have demonstrated if something like nature, in nature there is no distinction between people. People are people. Coronavirus can attack the president of a country, it can attack a daily wage laborer, a migratory laborer, anyone. So the nature from where we came and where we are going to go finally has demonstrated this. And there can't be a better profession than HR profession to take this as a part, take this as an important lesson for the profession itself. And there can't be, I mean, who is going to do that? My mind went on to the question of the professional bodies, whether it is ISTD or National HRD Network or NIPM or L&OD Roundtable or Indian Society for Applied Behavioral Sciences or many of the WhatsApp groups. And I know some of the WhatsApp groups have membership like 20 to 25,000 people. And when they announce some of the webinars and thousands of people across the world, these bodies have originated in India, across the world are trying to learn how different countries are getting from the tackling this particular kind of an issue and so on. When such kind of things are happening, are all professional bodies equally active? Now there is a question I'm just raising. I don't want to conclude. I'm very happy to see, like when you mentioned IST has already conducted 5 webinars. I'm sure NIPM may be doing something, but HRD Network, I think every day, even after this, today, this particular talk, there is another talk by National HRD Network at 7:15. It was nice of them. I'm sure they have seen that ISTD webinar is there from 5:30 to 7. That is why they cleverly put it at 7:15, which indicates a very positive attitude on the part of some of these bodies. Unconsciously also or consciously, they collaborate with each other. A lot of respect for each other and things of the kind. So there are a lot of things that are happening in HRD Network. I'm sure some of the things are happening in chapters. But I like to say what I would like to see. I think this is a great opportunity for all these bodies to work together. In each city, these bodies are there. In some cities, one of the chapters is active, one of the bodies is active, 2 others are not very active. In some cities, all the 3 are active. It doesn't matter who is active, who is not active. We should say we all belong to people management profession. Whether you are NIPM, ISTD, HRD Network, whatever it is, we all belong to one profession concerned about human development. human welfare. This is the mandate that all of us have as professionals and as professional bodies. Now, when you have such a mandate, uh, can we put our heads together? Because everyone, many HR professionals are facing issues. Some are facing issues like, how do I deal with work from home? If from May 15th onwards or from 1st June onwards, if work from home is going to be the norm, how am I going to deal with it? How do I deal with the 2 months that have been lost? My company is saying that I am not going to reduce the annual targets I have. I'm still going to aim at the same level of productivity, same level of profits, etc. So there are some companies which are saying. So if you are a HR manager, if you're a people manager of these companies, what is my role? How can I make this happen? How can I take the people along? And how can I make people take this challenge as their personal challenge and enjoy working for it rather than to say, oh my God, this is a new thing. My HR manager is a big nuisance. He is asking me now to work for 12 hours a day instead of 8 hours a day. What is our HR doing and things of that. Now, what are the solutions? I strongly believe solutions will have to come from our minds, and not one mind, collective minds of different bodies, of different kind of places, different types of people. Now, this is only one. If you are a organization which have survived the COVID-19 and all that you're going to do is to make sure that you will still have the same targets by March 21, and you want to change your work patterns, then you have to put your heads together. On the other end of the continuum, there are companies which are closing down, which have closed down already. Even big companies, small companies alike, they're closing down, and they have no bread and butter. And you have the migratory labor, who when they return, we don't know what kind of issues are there. So if you really look at human resource issues that got created due to COVID-19, they are phenomenal. Now, this is where the government is doing its job, but they're doing its job in a particular way to take care of the nation as a whole, 1.3 billion people as citizens. We have to deal with much smaller groups of people in your own kind of a company, maybe in your neighborhood and things like that. So what is it that these professional bodies can do? My sincere expectation is the professional bodies should work together. It should become active. I think this is my first kind of a suggestion. Professional bodies should become more active now than before. In the past, you could, take up the presidentship of a chapter and don't do anything until the next elections come. You got away with it. We struggled hard for many years to introduce performance appraisal for presidents, secretaries, office bearers, full-time employees, part-time employees, everyone. We said there must be a performance appraisal. There should be a 360-degree feedback. And I am sorry to tell you, we miserably failed. We could not introduce a mechanism of increasing accountability of people, performance appraisal of people, whether they are paid or not paid. In fact, my contention was, if you are a voluntary worker, if you are volunteered to be a president of a chapter or secretary of a chapter or treasurer of a chapter, it has given you phenomenal opportunity to be a leader. Because all these bodies are not-for-profit organizations. Sky is open. There are no targets. I think it all depends on you. Great opportunity to demonstrate yourself as a leader. But if you have not used it, not only that you have not used this opportunity, you have prevented somebody else. For 6 months, you have not even called a meeting of your chapter. And somebody is saying behind you, I wish this chap gave me opportunity to be the president. This chap gave me opportunity to be the secretary. So you are denied opportunity for somebody else. You're denied opportunity for 300, 400,000, 500 members you have by not doing your work. Now, COVID-19 is an emergency situation. The whole world is talking about it. Can you now become active? Can you come into the picture and say that, look, I want to now do my bit. I want to do a little bit of my contribution to the people management profession. Now, what is it that you can do? The moment you activate yourself, there are so many things to do. You could get all these people together. You could even have, nowadays, you don't need to call a physical meeting. Earlier, we used to say, oh, I called a meeting, I have 1,000 people, hardly 50 people came or 20 people came. Now you don't. You have webinar, you have online kind of a thing. If you are able to get hundreds of people to attend webinars like this, why can't a chapter president in a city, in any city, a small city like Vijayawada, Vijayanagaram, Visakhapatnam, Lucknow, Delhi, Calcutta, or Kanpur, any city you take, any small city you take, why can't you put, because companies are there, small industries are there, migratory labor is there, all human beings are there in every of these places. So I think it is important for a professional body because nobody else to look after. Company looks after only their interests. It is the HR professional body that cuts across various companies, because you have a variety of companies. You have companies that are closing down. You have companies that are not affected. You have companies where I think employees are happy. There are companies where people were dreaming to work from home. Now it has come. Like TCS has announced, 75% of people will be working from home. I know some of my neighbors who went to this company, they said, I'm anyway working from home for the last 2 years. It is nothing great for me. It is now legitimized. I'm very happy. Sometimes I used to feel guilty that maybe I'm working too much from home. Now I don't have to feel guilty. So I think this also makes some people happy, but it also introduces other kind of problems, because I've seen people say, oh my God, I have to work from home. What a tragedy I'm going to face. Now, are we sensitive to these problems? What are the kind of people what are the kind of issues that are come up? How should corporate sector facilitate people to enjoy work? Because we have always said people management. I think we have been in the recent past saying people work well if they are happy. So how do you create this happiness? Can these bodies wake up and then become active, collaborate with each other, and collect information? Simple thing. This is the least effortful kind of a thing. Simply collect information of the varieties of human issues that are coming up in your own city, where there are industries, there are NGOs, there are even government agencies. Your government needs a lot of HRD at this point of a time, and so on. So HR professional bodies should come alive, should focus themselves, collaborate, wake up, do their job to build the professional identity. Because HR has no great professional identity in the minds of people. We have been struggling hard. I'm glad Dr. Nataraj talked about working for chartered status for ISTD. I'm sorry, sir, it is not chartered status for ISTD, NIPM or HRD network. It is a chartered status for people profession, which includes ISTD, HRD network. And we want to make this. Now I have begun to think, post-COVID, we struggled hard about chartered status. Post-COVID, I'm asking myself this question: who is going to give you chartered status? Is it the government? It is the 500 MPs or 50 MPs who will gather and then approve this particular thing? I don't agree with that. I'm sorry, it is not the MPs who give us this chartered status. It is the citizens of this country. It is the workmen. It is managers. When they say, we need HR guys, they are making a difference in our life. They are proactive people. They are able to balance personal health with standards of living and the skill base required using the human development perspective. They are the ones who are concerned about human welfare. They deserve to be recognized. I think we have to win the battle of chartered status with the people we serve, not the government which legitimizes this. If we have to earn our chartered status, it is the only possible if professional bodies start behaving in a way that they deserve this chartered status. I have said that I wanted to talk about this particular kind of a theme. This is because while individually some of these bodies are doing, what we are doing is nowhere near. I may be wrong. I may be expressing a little bit of my pessimism, but I'm doing it with a purpose. And the purpose is to provoke. I hope this provokes people. I think if we miss this opportunity to establish ourselves as a profession, we can never be a profession. Even management is struggling, and there are a lot of debates, including from Harvard Business School. Is management a profession? Because HR is one area where you don't need certification to be called a HR professional. Anybody tomorrow can call himself. All that it needs is the company allowing the designation. I mean, our banks and financial institutions is a good example. Till yesterday, you are regional manager in a financial service company. Today, you are designated as general manager, deputy GM HR. You know nothing of HRD, but you are there as a HR manager. There are secretaries who have become HR managers. Unfortunately, HR has become a profession where while we have all the body of knowledge, we have everything that is there. Any Tom, Dick and Harry can call himself or herself a HR professional. Simply all that you need is to print a visiting card, declare yourself and things of that kind. That is not the status we want to have. The kind of respect has to be earned by people whom we serve. And I believe that unfortunately, one wishes that COVID-19 has not happened. But since it has happened, this is an opportunity that is there for all HR professional bodies to reflect, examine themselves, ask themselves the question. And I dare want to propose to all these bodies, if you have a president, secretary, any office bearer who is not active, who is not doing the job, any job in the last 3 months, it is time for that particular person to resign and make way, find somebody who can live up to this. There are phenomenal amount of opportunities. You look at all the business schools, what happened? All the B schools got closed by about March 15th. Several of them have not had their convocation. Uh, summer placement letters have not been issued. And you have thousands of people, students who are waiting for summer jobs. Great opportunity for HR. Can you therefore, as a body, sit together, those people who are in your city, try and collect who are all these trainees who are waiting for some opportunity, for some learning experience, put them to do a little bit of a survey. I think that's a great learning experience for them. If a group of MBA students participate in a survey in a small town, identify the problems faced by startups, small industry, problems faced by migratory labor, a whole lot of things, you have a phenomenal amount of information available. If all chapters put their heads together, information across the country is available. I think we can then say that ISTD, HRD network, NIPM, any body has come alive, have come to the reality. It is just not conducting webinar. It is keeping track. It is collecting information, showing empathy, showing compassion, and doing a whole lot of things. I think it's an opportunity. I wish all the professional bodies recognize this and activate themselves. And if some of you are members of a professional body, if you are a president, secretary, treasurer, or an employee is not doing the right job, please do voice your concern, and not very affectionately, warmly, and say, "Bhai, aap to bahut kuch kiya hai. Thank you very much. Please give opportunity because there are a large number of other people who are waiting." And if in this particular kind of a time we all don't put our heads together and do something for the body. I want to give a very interesting example, sir, from Calcutta. There are a group of people, uh, NHRDNs 2020. They created a webinar, and for last 4 weeks, they were informally conducting a webinar. They got some of the past presidents and spreading knowledge. They are not office bearers; they are just members. Now, this is a big lesson. Even if you are not an office bearer, if you are merely a member of a professional body of ISTD, NIPM, HRD network, anyone, and if you have not been given an opportunity to be an office bearer, it doesn't matter. Sky is the limit. If you are not an office bearer and if you do something, you are a better leader than an office bearer who took up the position and is doing nothing. You have demonstrated that you are a great guy. So I think this is an opportunity for professional bodies. I think this is a call. For me, this is an inner call for anyone who wants to pride himself as a HR professional, that you can make a difference and use these bodies as mechanisms to make a difference. That's all I've got to say. I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity. I would certainly like some of the people there to make comments. I particularly recommended Dr. Akhil Busrai. I don't know if he is there. If Akhil is there, if he has heard me, I would very much expect if any of the other members are there, it would be very nice from ISTD, anywhere, if they can make their comments and views rather than asking questions to me. I think your wisdom is my wisdom. If there is any wisdom, maybe in the last 10 minutes, I answer some of the questions. But I would appreciate if there are any comments made on what is it that I have said about the professional bodies coming alive and doing a lot more than what I have said. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you indeed, sir. It was a wonderful session. In fact, it was an eye-opening session. lot of doubts about our own incompetencies or inabilities to really cash on the opportunities which the COVID-19 has provided. Just now you said that HRDN is doing webinar every day and calling everyone. I think that is a very, very good eye-opening session. In fact, we are also trying to increase the number of webinars, inviting people from all walks of life, all the members. Let us see, sir. And this is a very, very good suggestion. And as suggested by you, I have invited Dr. Akhil Busrai to join. I think he has joined. And I invite him to share his views and join the discussion. Dr. Akhil Busrai.
Yeah, thank you, Doctor. And thank you, TV Garu. Thank you very much, sir, for your views. I think what you did way back in the LNT days, you and Dr. Uday Parekh, we are seeing a glimpse of that spark that you are now putting in for last 1 year plus, about 3 or 4 HR bodies working together. I think the fragmented bodies have served their own purpose, but your initiative and with Dr. Natraj, etc., who are taking equally good interest, we should be able to take this step and look back to this last 2 years as a stepping stone of much more collaboration. But sir, the point I liked most about your presentation was the point on accountability. Serving as office bearer is a privilege. It's not an entitlement. And many organizations, I'm not talking about ISTD at all, but many organizations have run into a machinery of collecting huge amount of reserves and feeling very proud about it with fancy headquarters and fancy expenses and travel and show. But I think as professionals, your point about accountability that you mentioned, that we should have a system of 360-degree feedback where everybody would like to contribute as to what is the contribution being made to the organization and not just stay there for sake of it. And in 3 to 4 months, if people are not able to shape up as contribution as expected, they should make way for others. I think the point that you are making, sir, is something more essential in a voluntary bodies, because our reputation as a profession is shaped by some of these bodies. And I totally agree with you, sir, that all of us, those who are interested to serve the profession, should really not be worried about what titles we get or position we get. And the example about Indranil and Dr. Sarkar, Chinmay Sarkar in Calcutta on NHRDI in 2020 is a great example. But again, there also is an important thing to remember, that we don't fragment ourselves, that the appointed bodies are themselves sensitive to invite such high energy volunteers to work for the organization and bring something to the members. So Dr. Rao, thank you for the learning that you give every time that we come in contact with you, sir. You are very modest about it, but you do not possibly realize that how much we take away from your sessions, sir. So it's my privilege to be here, sir, and thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Akhil.
Thank you, Dr. Busrai, for joining and sharing your views. Sir, I would like to, now there is a long list of questions which people are asking. So I will straightway go to the questions which are very relevant. People are very, very excited. They are really praising the session. There are a lot of positive comments coming about this session. Sir, I'll start with very interesting question from Mr. Naveen Bhatia, who asked, is it wise for HR to sack frontline workforce and supervisors instead of freezing salaries from GM to CEO at 50% of current level for the next 2 years? In India, CEO salaries are 580 times the salary of the worker. So
I think it's thought. I think this is the time when we need to think of such kind of issues. I have heard in some of the webinars people recommending this. I've also heard some of the CEOs, just yesterday in one of the webinars, 2 of the CEOs said, we have decided not to sack. These are one a motor company and another, of course, Thermax. We have decided not to sack a single person. I mean, that is not only they, I think there are a whole lot of other people. We're going to carry them along, whatever we need to do and so on. I don't want to rule that out that there are some people who are badly hit by business. But what I would recommend is, I mean, this is a thought that you're saying, top management, can they cut their salaries by 50%? Why 50%? Maybe more. I think I heard somebody else suggesting that in my company, I want to make sure every employee gets 30 to 40,000 rupees. And since managers are accustomed to certain level of life and so on, I don't mind giving them 15 to 20 lakhs a year. That is CTC, about maximum 2 lakhs a month. This is the thought. This is a suggestion. I think innovations like this should come. I think this is the time HR professionals should work with employees, because people understand. I think people are by and large, Indians are compassionate, but somebody has to arouse their compassion. Somebody has to work and talk to them and so on. So I appreciate this comment very much. So Dr. Joshi, I don't know who you mentioned.
Sir, it is Mr. Naveen Bhatia.
Yeah, Bhatia साहब बहुत अच्छा है, ये तो बहुत अच्छा सोच है, ऐसा ही होना चाहिए. That is the way.
Sir, Mr. Pradeep Singh has asked, what are the skills and competencies which are required to be better HR professional post-COVID era? Sir, I would like to add also, as you have suggested, because normally the HR people are very, very rule-oriented. So sometimes they miss the softer side. As we talk about the human resource, you talked about compassion, you talked about empathy. So sir, I'll request you to elaborate, because the kind of competencies which are required for HR person tomorrow, he may go beyond the rule regulations and have a total relook at the business scenario.
I'm
Please,
sure
sir.
you heard of this. A group of 40 workers started by cycle. This is from Ahmedabad to UP, their hometown, and went up to the MP border. And they were turned away by the border people there. They were refused. And all these people had to return back to Ahmedabad, cycling, and some of them walking without food and things of that nature. What is it that we have done to our people? What is it that we have done to our people? People have been, where have we gone wrong? Okay. So I think the question is, if you are a HR professional, the most important competence that you require to have is compassion, empathy, and care for others. Without this particular quality, you don't deserve to be a HR professional. Most important quality, compassion, care for others. Now, interestingly, it comes from self-respect, self-contentment, and self-confidence. If you are a secure fellow, if you have enough to eat, and then I think you can be a little more compassionate. So most important competence I would recommend is being compassionate, being empathetic, being collaborative, and the ability to look at a human being as a human being, not in terms of caste, community, religion, status, and those days. I mean, at least the COVID should teach us. A human being is the most important being. And I think the important competency you require to have is understand where have you come from and where are you going to go. This is the thinking. Where have you come from? We have all come from Mother Earth. We are going to go back to that. We are nothing but a body, a bundle of water, right? I mean, whatever element, the 5 elements of the earth. The other person whom you are talking to is also the same. There is no distinction. At the end, he is not going to be buried or cremated in a different way than you and I are going to be. So another important competency is, I mean, this comes from the respect. So I think compassion and self-respect, if you have, then you will work out all these other kind of things. And remember, you have made rules. I would say throw away all those rules. If they can't help the person to be happy, what is the point of all these rules? Where have all these rules come from? But yes, I will agree for one thing. Sometimes there will be short-term pain in order to get long-term happiness. So you are applying rules in order to make sure that this particular person gets long-term happiness. Then apply it in a way by वो समझा दो उसको बता दो भाई ये तुम्हारे भला के लिए कर रहा हूँ. मैं simply my rule apply नहीं कर रहा हूँ तुम्हारे भला के लिए इसी से. So when this group of 40 fellows were asked to go back, I would have expected those people who are at the border would have treated them to say, come, be here until the time we let you go. We will take care of you. You don't have to go back to Ahmedabad. Just be here. We'll feed you fellows. I think that is the kind of humanness I would have expected. You don't need to be a HR guy. You need to be a good human being. So I think that is what is required. Our spiritualism, our country teaches a lot, sir. It doesn't happen in other countries. I think that is where we have to go back to our basics. This is a great country where even the Westerners came and wrote things about how Indians, in the way they sacrifice, gain power. Sacrifice is the best way to become powerful. That's what they talk about. Good, sir.
Sir, one of the recently Sadhguru has remarked in one of his discourses that human is not a resource, because we have been talking about human resource, and somehow we have categorized human being as a source, a mode of production. He has said that human is a possibility, infinite possibility. So is it so that in the times to come, we have to redefine the human resource in terms of larger possibility, as the whole discourse given by you is going on these lines? So I want some more clarification so that people really understand what is HR actually.
Go back to 1974. 1974, there was no term like human resource. There was no term. In fact, we thought, Uday Parikh and I thought, we are coining the term human resource development. HRD is rarely expanded, HRD, human resource development. It is based on the belief that human being is an unlimited resource. It's born with phenomenal talent. When Sadhguru says human is not a resource, I agree with him and add up saying human is not a resource, human is an unlimited resource. So I'll say again, human is not a resource, but it's an unlimited resource. That is what we have taught. You're born phenomenally talented. But of course, Sadhguru, instead of saying human is not a resource, it is an unlimited resource, is a human is a possibility. Now, I think that is probably a better way of saying, because human is an unlimited resource. If it doesn't cut much ice for you, I'll say human is a possibility. I started using it and it started cutting ice. So I use human is a possibility more to cut ice with people, to say human is an unlimited resource. This is nothing new, sir. Human is a resource at infinitum. There is no limit on the human resource. There are people, I still remember 1985. Now this is almost about 35 years ago. Dr. Chakravarti of IIM Calcutta said, don't say human resource development. The term resource gives an impression as though it is materialistic and you can manipulate people, etc., etc. So I would rather prefer to say human response development. Okay. And very recently, the same Sadhguru who said human is a possibility said, I am calling my department as human potential department. There is Satish Kalra in MDI, who was earlier at IIM Lucknow. He already coined the term almost about 25 years ago. So these are terms we are using. No change in philosophy. Philosophy remains the same. Whether you call it HR, human possibility development, or infinity resource, human is human. Remember that. Human is human. Human means infinitum, possibility, unlimited resource, born talented, in his lifetime, very little of it is seen. So that is what I believe.
Thank you, sir. So there is one question from Mr. Pradeep Singh. They're asking how to reduce anxiety of employees during COVID period and give them confidence that you need not worry about. So because a lot of anxiety is there, loss of job, lot of salary, lot of anxieties are coming, sir. How to tackle those anxieties?
I think it's a very simple and commonsensical kind of answer I will give. I'm sure most of you know it. When somebody is at anxiety, I think they need somebody to talk to, somebody to communicate. And in the communication, you as a HR person need to be well connected with the person, go deeper, understand the source, the reasons for anxiety, educate the person, give as much information as possible. Part of the anxiety comes from lack of trust and lack of information. Information sometimes gives trust, But if it is already trust is low, information also could be looked at mistrust. So your biggest problem will be to get yourself your credibility established. You have to work with them. There is no substitute for communicate, go deeper, more frequently communicate, give as much information as possible. Like I think if the company is, some products are going to be closed, let us say in a company, the anxiety may come because there is no future for my company. Okay, or for example, what must be happening to all these restaurants? Now restaurants have no future because some of them have been given to be hospitals, and some of them, I think people are not likely to travel. Everything is online here. Who is going to come and occupy? So many of these people can have anxiety, but the top management may be saying, don't worry, this will not last. We will have other alternative ways of doing. Maybe we will convert it to some kind of a educational institute, etc., etc. They'll have all their plans. And I don't think the hotels are going to disappear. I think all that it means is that for a few months you will probably have to take some kind of a time off and things of that kind. But go back to them, share with them the plans, be in touch with top management, understand their plans, put ideas. I would also go back to the employees and say, what is the anxiety? If this is the fear you have, let us assume that the top management also has this fear. What are your thoughts? What is it that the company can do? I strongly believe in taking people along. People have ideas. People will have wonderful ideas. So I think get connected, more connected, connect deeper, and you have to divide yourself. There are a large number of HR people. You probably will have to divide yourselves. You can't meet beyond, let us say, 10, 15 people a day and constantly being in touch with them, address them through these media like Zoom and so on. I mean, a whole lot of things. So the solution is communicate, relate, go deeper, understand, pacify, share information.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Jiptesh Rath from Bhubaneswar, he's asked, seeing the serious issue of migrant labor recently drawing global attention, how HR professionals can play a role in skilling them at local level so that they need not migrate in lakhs, creating emotional and other issues at home. Surat can be a test case and eye-opener for us. Mr. Jitesh.
Very good question, Diptesh. The answer has to be provided by different chapters in different cities. Let the HRD network, ISTD, NIPM chapters get together, give this, get together on Zoom. You don't have to physically get together. Have a special session on this. I think you start applying your mind. The first question that will come to you is, if a special train has gone to Bhubaneswar, the moment it reaches Bhubaneswar, how many HR guys are there to find out what is the skill requirement of these people? Is it possible to document? I think there is now a little bit of technology available. Document and say who are these people, what skills will be available, can you work with the government, can you work with them? All this requires, I mean, you only need to do a sample survey. You don't have to talk to everyone and so on. So this is what is the task of the HR professional bodies. No one company is going to do that, and don't expect the government to do this, because government have their hands full. They have too many things to do. They are not in a position to do it. This is where HR professionals will come into picture. They can do phenomenal things. So I want to give back the question to Deeptesh. Can you mobilize people in Bhubaneswar, put their heads together? There is a very active HRD network. There are many other professional bodies. Take the help of Xavier University, or there are many other schools. Work on this, and they will be more than happy to survey. This is a great summer project that can be there. Same thing can be done in other cities. So I think I have no standard answer. This answer has to come from the local people after surveying them, and I'm sure a hell of a lot of wisdom will come. World is vast, sir. Country is vast. There are so many things to do. As Mahatma Gandhi said, there is enough to meet the needs of every single individual. At his time, there were not 1.3 billion, but I dare say we have improved the way we produce food and so on. Food grains are being thrown away. I think we have enough to meet the needs of everyone, but not the greed of even a few people. So I think we have to work now. This is the time to meet Maslow's lower level needs. This is all. And self-actualization is possible. Those of the HR guys are lucky to help people to meet the basic needs. and still use self-actualization for themselves. That is what HR offers. It's a great profession to self-actualize.
So there is an anonymous attendee. Your name is not written, but the question is interesting. I work in a hospitality industry. COVID-19 has impacted the hospitality industry badly. From past couple of months, I am on leave without pay and don't know how long this is going to continue like this. The situation has not only made me hate HR, but the complete organization as a whole. What do you think on this issue?
I think very good question. I think this is a real, very good kind of a question. And I'm sure this is what some of us in HR fraternity should be addressing. Let us imagine he is not the only one. This anonymous. There are hundreds of such anonymous people. How can we work with them? Can we come up with some alternatives? Can we put our heads together? Suppose in a particular city, there are several people working in hospitality industry, hotels, and they are not getting salaries. They are out on the road. And the previous question also, what skills can we develop? Okay. So possibilities. What are the possibilities? Can we brainstorm and come up with possibilities? Now, I will only ask a few questions, not to this individual, but individuals like him. What is the skill base you have? Where were you working in the hospitality industry? I want you to take a piece of paper and put down all that you can do. Maybe you are a good cook. It will be useful somewhere. Or maybe you are good in housekeeping. Maybe you will be useful somewhere. Maybe you are good in sweeping. Wonderful. Yeah, I think nowadays I have to sweep in my own house. I think many of the men are sweeping, doing jadu pota, because I mean it's pathetic scene to see. I think for a change you start experiencing. You knew that your spouse is all the time working in the kitchen, but you felt pathetic for 25 days seeing her all the time in the kitchen, and on the top of it she sweeps the floor. And so on the third or fourth day itself you started saying, no, let me do this. Okay, so if this is the skill you have, so please put down on a piece of paper, what are the skills that you have? Can you read and write? How fast can you become digital savvy? Can you therefore, now if you can put your skills, brainstorm, and your solutions will start coming. This is what I can do. What are the opportunities there? Just hold on. Be little patient. Don't be pessimistic. Be optimistic. God is there. Nature is there. I think the country at least is saying we will not let anyone die hungry. I think there are enough mechanisms. Catch hold of some of these mechanisms. Make sure you and your family are protected. But I think revisit yourself. I think it is a myth to think somebody in this world somebody else is going to take care of us. Okay, I would say including HR fellow. HR fellow is not going to take care of. Having said that, I will tell HR fellow, please take care of people. I will still say that. But if from the point of view of the person, I would say you have to take care of yourself. And you have, and don't write off. You are a possibility. You can make many things happen. I don't know if you have seen, there was a very interesting WhatsApp message by the chairman of Kitply. Have any of you seen? This is a Kitply. This is a very interesting movie. He must be about 65 years old or 70 years old. He starts, maybe 70 years old. He starts talking about from the days of partition, how he came to this country without anything other than his own kind of clothes. And from then onwards, how many ups and downs he went through. And he said, every up and down, every time I was on the road, I felt helpless, but I came back, bouncing back. So he says, this will also pass. This is not going to be permanent. So don't lose your confidence. Having said that, I think this person, anonymous, said, I hate HR because HR was responsible. Well, unfortunate. I think HR guys, very unfortunate they had to do it. I only wish they had done it in a better way than creating unhappiness. But the same person will start appreciating HR if HR tomorrow becomes a source of helping him to find something and to take care of himself. That is greatness of HR. If today you have to give a bad news, tomorrow, I mean, you should be sleepless. If I have to give a bad news to this guy, I should be have sleepless night as much as this person has. And day after tomorrow, I should go back to him and say, I have a solution for you. Then you have a totally new respect. Now, where will the solution come from? If you can't find it out, can you take the help of your professional body? That is where I'm saying HR profession has to come alive. They are the ones who have to throw light. There are so many issues, sir, and there can't be a better time than this.
Sir, Mr. Zainab Barodawala has raised the issue of the youngsters, the students. He is asking what will be the impact on recruitment post COVID-19. Many students will be graduating now, and how will their employment be impacted? How is their future going to be?
You are talking about the management students?
Yeah, probably they have not specified, but students means probably management.
Management students will find their way. Don't worry. They will all, I think the world is not going to be closed. In fact, if any, you know, there is a very interesting thing happening in our country. The number of people dying every day has decreased, phenomenally decreased. More people are living now. So if the more people live, our population increases, there will be more jobs. Don't worry about it. So there will be enough of opportunity. There will be new opportunities. Only thing is, you learn to be, don't just wait for doing what management schools taught you or what your school taught you. I think you have to probably ready to learn a whole lot of things. I think today we are saying everyone should become an entrepreneur. Think entrepreneurially. I think there is enough, because one thing COVID has demonstrated, our needs are few. People are not going to be any more aspiring for big cars, luxurious items. This is what is going to happen. So there will be enough. There will be enough to do. I would only assure them, don't worry. Human beings have a phenomenal capability to come back to homeostasis, come back to square one. So there will be enough of jobs. There will be enough of things. Only thing is, manage yourself and use this as an opportunity to bring out the entrepreneurial talent in you. So I am not at all bothered.
So Mr. Srinivasan Pullam Chetty has asked, will brick and mortar offices disappear with work from home now? Work from home is a reality, as COVID-19 has demonstrated in many arenas. So basically, work from home, how's the future?
No, I think there will be some impact. It is not that the impact is not going to be there. So I will only say some impact, but how much impact is anybody's guess. It all depends upon how our medical profession is going to come up with solutions in the next 3 months. Supposing in the next 3 months we have a solution that eliminates coronavirus from the planet. Suppose they are able to come up. Next 3 months. Next 6 months they come up. Next 1 year they come up. 2 years they come up. You are back to square one. So all that we have constructed is available, is not going to disappear. It is going to be you put for alternative uses. People will come up with innovations. People will come up with new things. There will be enough of things to do. Nothing is going to become a waste. Only thing is, you will have to temporarily, therefore, suspend, I think, the utility of some of these. There will be more space. But remember, one thing that is going to happen, work from home. But it also says once in a week, you probably will have to visit your office. Okay, and social distance. So what is going to happen? People who will go to office, maintain 6 feet distance, will be spread out with the buses carrying only, instead of 50 people carrying only 20 people. So life is not totally going to change. So don't worry. I am very confident that things will not be as bad as one assumes. In fact, they may be better. They may be for better. So I'm not bothered about offices disappearing and things like that. Some real estate people will be hit. That is okay. That I am happy. It's fine. Real estate will be down. That's nice.
Sir, Mr. Chadaga from Undp is asking, Migrants are needed for running business and supportive activities. How will this be achieved if lockdown continues even with relaxed restrictions in future?
No, I don't know. I can't answer this because I think this is again anybody's guess. What will happen is the migrants at this point of time when there was a lockdown, if I'm a migrant and if I'm affiliated to my house and if my livelihood is threatened, I want to go back because I'm more secure at my home. So I go back to my house and at least somebody is there to take care of. I have maybe a little feeds, little opportunities and so on. So after things settle down, I am also in touch because they have their networks. They are also in touch with what is happening in their respective towns. So people will seek information, and if it is necessary, they get back. But managing the transition period is one thing that is going to be a little difficult. We'll have to see what it is. So I suppose uh, the the uncertainty that is expected maybe for the next 6 months. I have a feeling that after 6 months, things will get settled down. Either way, they either settle down with migratory labor returning back to this, or they face such a traumatic situation, they never want to come back. But if they don't want to come back, they will have to look at alternative opportunities within their own places. In fact, many people are saying in their own towns, why do we have to depend on migratory labor? What have we done to promote local kind of people and so on? I think it's a very difficult kind of a choice to make. I'm quite surprised. Some states have large numbers of migratory labor. Certain other states don't have that kind of a migratory labor. What does it mean? I think one needs to think about all these kind of things. So I am a believer in the country being resilient. It will take care of. We are making mistakes. Some mistakes we made. I wish this entire issue did not come up. I think may not have the country government may not have realized at that point of time that in their eagerness to contain coronavirus, they may not have thought of this particular kind of a thing. If they have thought, maybe I think this is the best decision they could make. I wish they gave 2-3 days time and told people, please get back to your. Then a lot of saving would have taken place. Like I think all this feeding did not have taken place. People would have gone, and it would have been much less painful. But all emergency decisions when you take, you may not be able to take all variables into consideration. And the people who are advising the government may not have thought of this until the issue came up. And other thing that happens is when an issue comes up, ego comes in your way. For example, I was very surprised that why should a train be run in secret from Hyderabad to Jharkhand? Why couldn't this have been done even during this period in the last 1.5 months? It should have been spread out and think. I mean, I'm a layman. I don't know what are the intricacies that are involved. But what happens is, no. Somebody says, no, this cannot be done. So you're sitting on your ego. No, I decide, I know what is good. But maybe you're right. I don't want to say the decision taken was wrong. Maybe they have reasons to believe it. So we have to trust our government. And we have to say that, look, I think you have done your best. I'm very happy. At least today, there are about half a dozen trains running. Slowly, this problem will be resolved. And we should thank them. Thank you very much for protecting us in Surat, in Bombay, in Bangalore, anywhere. Because after all, the government has taken many places good care of I'm assuming from whatever stories I've heard, they have taken good care in all these places. It's a mammoth kind of task that I've carried out.
So Sharmila Modwal is asking, transition to virtual mode of working has the risk of losing human interface. How does an HR person keep people engaged under such circumstances?
I have a feeling that when you work from home, you are saving 3 hours a day of traveling in the bus. If not 3 hours, 2 hours. In a city like Bombay, Bangalore, Delhi, etc., it is much more than that. My own calculation is on an average at least about 2 hours a day. And if you happen to travel 1 hour one way and another hour coming back, you really lose about 2.5 to 3 hours. So it's about, I mean, in a modest way, I would say 20% of your time is saved when people work from home. That means your workday, instead of 8 hours, you can easily become a 10-hour or 11-hour workday. Now, if you are a HR guy, you have saved this much of money, this much of time. You have 12 hours available in a day, 10 hours available in a day, and you have a tool available to contact and give more personal touch. And the tool is Zoom, online. You have so many tools. You can have Skype meeting, you can have Google Hangout, you can have so many things. All that you need to do is to make sure that your workman also has access to this tool. And nowadays, even ordinary cell phones have a video facility and things like that. All that you need to do is to buy a 5,000 rupee cell phone and make sure that your person has. And you have phenomenal scope to be in touch with people. You can dialogue more, you can contact more. So to me, I think this work from home, to me, is a great boon for HR people. You don't need to be physically be with somebody else. You can connect electronically. Like we are now, 4 of us, we are seeing each other. We can see face to face. I can see your feelings. I can read the faces of all 4 of you, Guruvender ji, Joshi ji, and Dr. Nataraj, and so on. So I think even you can have a Zoom conference with 4 people at a time, and you share your concerns. You discuss about the task at hand for about 10 minutes and 5 minutes. How are you doing? What's happening in your family? How are your kids coping up? How are they finding? Now, the one guy says, my child is having trouble learning lessons online on the computer. You know, this is what I have done. I tried this out and so on. This is okay. My child is doing this. A phenomenal scope here. I think you can treat human beings as human beings. I think COVID-19 to me is an opportunity. It is not a burden. That is the way I look at it. You can be more connected, well connected, deeply connected, and so on.
Sir Mehul Thakkar is asked, respected sir, how to strike a balance between the progressive humanitarian role of HR and the competitiveness of an organization in such tough times. There are pressures on HR also, so how to deal with it?
Sir, I have a little bit of, I have a totally different orientation. I have been saying that people management function, HR function, has to become spiritual function. You have to graduate. This because it is, by spiritual, I mean it deals with the spirit of human being. It doesn't mean religious. It is the spirit. Human beings are born with phenomenal amount of capability and spirit. Possibilities, you are saying, is spiritual. Now, if you believe in this, that then the question of competitiveness does not arise. I think it is the competitiveness. I want to do better than somebody else, which has killed the HR function, which has also killed companies. So much so, much against my liking, National HRD Network incorporated competitiveness in its mission statement. Human beings are not born to compete with each other. Please, that is a disastrous statement you can make. Companies may be competing with each other, but even companies better learn to collaborate with each other, at least during COVID time. Now look at the way all companies have started collaborating. A company that never made ventilators now started thinking about, I'll make ventilators. A company which is a 5-star hotel says, I'll make it available for COVID patients and so on. I think this is collaboration. You have to totally change your mindset. So how competitiveness has created problems, these promotions, designation for Joshiji, you mentioned about my book on performance appraisal.
Yeah, yes,
my
sir.
first book on performance appraisal was 1982.
Okay.
Performance appraisal theory and practice.
Yeah.
And in 1974, when Uday and I started the first human resource development department, we said performance appraisal ratings should be delinked from rewards. That was our recommendation. We didn't believe in normal probability, believe in bell curve. In fact,
Now
we went
the
to the
bell
extent
curve
of
is there.
saying, you are very unfortunate, but anyway, now people have learned. We said because appraisal is meant to develop people, and the moment you link it with incentives, then it becomes a torture, not development. So what our friend is calling progressive by competing is not progressive, it is regressive. Anybody who lives to compete with somebody else and wants to do better than him, he is only having a regressive view of human being. I don't subscribe to that. A progressive view of a human being that is where I like Sadhguru. Exploit, use the potential, discover the possibilities, be happy. And if you can create happiness around you, you are likely to be more happy. And competitiveness only brings unhappiness. And I said this because I was very pained when I saw in the HRD network changed a mission. Companies have to compete. HR should help people to compete. Sorry, please throw that away. HR is not meant for competing. HR is meant for discovering your own potential. It is not in competition with somebody else. It is in competition with yourself. You should do better than what you have done yesterday, not better than Joshi CA or Gurvind Nataraj Ray, or better than another professor and things. That's an atrocious way of looking at things. So progressive, there is no progressiveness in competition. Progressiveness is there only in accomplishing things that you can accomplish, competing with yourself, doing better than previous day, and so on. That is what I believe. They are not in conflict.
I wish
Yes,
to tell one thing. Sir, actually, a lot of question is coming. I have seen another 56 question. It is gradually increased. So, whole day, even whole night, you can complete the question because people are questioning. But, sir, I wish to tell one thing because yes, you have raised one very pertinent issue. That is that 3 HR professional body, ISTD, NIPM, NHRD, that is now called the people management, work together in a common agenda, which Akil Bhai also raised this thing. Sir, okay, we as of date, we are the head of the institute. I will urge other professional body, NIPM, National HRD Network, to work together because this is the high time so that we can work together and we can, as a HR guy, so that our beneficial, we can work together and where we are. I assure you that, sir, as for my person, I will try my level best to work together to other two fraternity. This is my assurance to you. This is number one. And in
Thank you
future
very much,
also we are work together, sir. I would request Joshi, one guy that is called Dr. UK Haldar, here wants to, or Uday Kumar Haldar wants to directly talk to our Guru, Professor Uday Parekh. No, sorry, Professor TV Rao. So kindly allow him.
He's joining, sir. He's
joining for the online. He used to take some question to the.
Please unmute yourself, Mr. Haldar. Please unmute yourself. You have joined. Welcome to this webinar, and personally, you can ask the question. Please unmute yourself, Mr. Haldar.
There is a red button.
Haldar, on the bottom.
उसको आप touch करना पड़ेगा आपका computer में. Then we can hear you. You did that right.
Hello.
Wonderful. Yeah.
I am Dr. Haldar.
Yes, sir.
I am young man of 72 years.
Wow.
Acha, I spoke to you quite a good number of times. However, my question is how to revitalize the human being after COVID-19. We do not know what will be the percentage of population will survive after March. That is on the start of next financial. We cannot predict. So can we? Everything is probabilistic. Nothing is deterministic. What is your view, sir?
I'm a phenomenal optimist. I think most people are going to do. Don't worry about it because they say it is only the deaths are at one point of time. They said 80% in those who are post 60. But even that, I think, kept on saying. I think the good news is for many of us who are reasonably healthy, the good news is that only those who are suffering with other kind of issues, like maybe serious diabetic, liver problem, heart problem, serious ones, run a risk, even they run the risk and so on. So my pious hope is that all of us will be there. We will all live, we live longer. I think a few unfortunate events because of this virus may happen. But as I mentioned there, the death rate in the country if you look at the death rate due to a variety of reasons, it has reduced substantially. The other day, somebody told daily deaths in our country is something like, I don't know, how many, 2,000 or 20,000 or something like that. But I think compare with that, total number of deaths across the last 1.5 months is very few due to COVID and so on. So I am, don't worry about this particular thing. People are not going to die. I think we should assure people to be careful. So just make sure that the virus doesn't touch you by doing whatever I think people are saying, using mask and not going to the places where there can be infection. If you take care of yourself, I think nothing is going to affect.
Okay, sir.
So,
Thank you, sir.
But one thing that is likely to happen, Haldar Saab, is I hope that this will happen. Is we should become more conscious of the artificial lines we have drawn for people by classifying them by designation, by status, by putting, I think, wonderful things. I think all of these we must realize COVID has demonstrated these are only a visiting card value. Even that visiting card now has no value. We are all human beings. So the distinction will hopefully disappear. And I think we will have much healthier society. This is my feeling. Healthier society where what Mahatma Gandhi dreamt, dignity of labor, where you start doing, you will not say, this is not my job. You are willing to do everything that is required. I think that will return. This is my pious hope. And if it returns, we will definitely live longer.
Thank you, sir. I have enjoyed the session, entire session. Good night to all of you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Haldar.
Good night to you, Mr. Nataraj Rai, Dr. Joshi.
Good night.
Okay. Good night, sir.
Sir, how much time do we have? Because it is 7 already.
It is
so,
7 o'clock. Yeah, I think we may have to close this because there is another webinar that
as you
starts
said.
at 7:15. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
one or more? One or two questions.
maybe
Sir,
one or two
I
questions
just
we
have
can
one
do.
question.
Yes, sir. Tell me.
So you talked about the three bodies, NHRD and NIPM and ISTD coming together. So I'll request you very soon we can have a joint Zoom session and we can carve out a roadmap. You can guide us in charting a roadmap because as people are saying that companies are getting out from China and India stands a very good chance. But there is a skill gap between the Chinese workers and Indian workers. So isn't it that these bodies we can come in forward, help the government to help government bridge that skill gap so that if the companies
sure.
when they come to India, then we are ready to take that opportunity to grab that opportunity.
Yeah, you're very right. I think we have to work very closely with the government, work with CII, work with all industry bodies, because that is where we get inputs from, and that is where they will also start using our. So it's a good idea. But as a small beginning, I want to suggest to Dr. Nataraj Ray and all of you, can we ask our chapters to start working together, doing a little bit of research, to start thinking about collecting information, and also putting up case studies and disseminating information. I think we have had enough of webinars, but I think it's more important to get into the field, talk to people, collect information, do research, use summer trainees, use your own trainees, those who are going through a diploma program. I think you can give it as a project and say, identify the skill requirements of the future, look at the Chinese, what are the kind of skills they have, etc., etc. I mean, so much. I think the biggest resource we have, biggest, I think, opportunity we have is the people, the students, and a whole lot of other kind of people. So I think it could start at a chapter level. From your side, I'm sure, I think Dr. Ray will make sure that all the 3-4 presidents get together. We can have a Zoom conference and so on. Nothing, I mean, it's all your initiative, sir. There is very little somebody like me can do. I can keep giving these webinars.
Thank you very much, sir. Wonderful session we have done. Thank you. It's almost 7:05. Joshi, you may close it.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. And
Yeah.
indeed, it was a very, very fruitful and meaningful session.
Yeah.
And a lot of queries had come up, and the participation was more than 300.
Yeah.
So it was indeed very, very successful. Thank you very much, sir.